can always tell when a streak's going to come to an end. You win a couple of games, you probably shouldn't.
There are teams out there that could use that quality of playoff goaltending. All right, Ray, you ready to do this?
Yep, let's go.
Powered by Reb Media in partnership with TSN, it is Season 7 of the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast. This is a playoff edition presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. From April 27th to May 3rd, Tim Hortons Smile Cookie campaign is back. Every Smile cookie you buy helps support your community because 100% of the proceeds go directly to nearly 700 local charities and community groups across Canada. And it's chosen by local Tim Hortons restaurant owners. So next time you're grabbing your coffee, add a Smile cookie, because one cookie can definitely help fund real change right where you live. And Ray, every year we look forward to this time of year. Of course, we're energized. It's the Stanley Cup postseason. It's round one, all of that. But the Smile campaign, the Tim Hortons Smile Cookie campaign is right up there. It kind of goes hand in hand with the Stanley Cup playoffs, doesn't it?
I would think today when I finish my round of golf, as I turn back out of the course and drive by the Tim Hortons on my right, I think today, I think I will be, I think I'm going to stop and get one. I think I will. You know what? You know, I'm a cookie guy.
Oh, yes, you are. Yeah.
Yes. So
which one? What's your favorite? I opt for the chocolate chunk when available. It's a tough cookie to get. It's popular.
No, there's no real cookie other than a chocolate chip. So in this case, the chocolate chunk. There really is no other cookie. Like raisin oatmeal or some other thing that people bake or whatever. That's American League.
It's fake healthy is what it is. That's what it is. I mean, you're having a cookie. Just indulge. Enjoy yourself. Go with the chocolate chunk. All right. We can see that you're in the home office in Vancouver, but it's a short reprieve, isn't it? I mean, what do you dumping the laundry and then basically hitting the road again in the next couple of days?
Well, maybe because, as you know, in the States, the broadcasts are split with TNT and ESPN, and so we do games 1 and 2 of the series. They do games 3, 4, and 5, and we pick up the 6 and 7s.
Okay.
So it's really strange. So like I did the first 2 games of Philly and Pitt, and then last night I'm sitting on the couch watching it, and it feels, it's a start and a stop, and it's that way for the first round, and then after that, things change a bit. But it is the first round is always unruly. It is always chaotic, and certainly the first 5 days have been that.
So are you sitting on your couch and I don't know. I mean, I certainly don't work games to the level, that you do. I mean, you're in the game, you're between the benches, all of that. But when I get home, even from doing a simple post-game hot zone panel, all of that, it takes me like an hour or two just to decompress. You kind of, you're just, it's the adrenaline. That's what it is. So when you're watching Pitt Philly, are you verbalizing what you're seeing and you're almost analyzing a game that you're not actually doing?
Yeah, I don't know how much Cammie and Reese appreciate it, but and so and I'm rewinding and did you see that? And they're like, oh, no, we're just watching the game. I'm like, oh, and I got to go back and see, and then I'm writing notes on my phone. I probably don't need to do that. I just like it. I just like doing it. And last night it's Philly Boston, and then it's Edmonton, or it was Minnesota Dallas, and so there was no reprieve from it. We watched them all last night, and and then of course the mini game goes into double overtime, and you're like, oh, you're killing me here. You're killing me. I gotta get to bed. But it's been great stuff. Great first round is great theater. It really is.
Yeah. It is. Okay, so let's get right to it. In the headlines, brought to you by the Canadian Brew House. Hey, real fans know the move. You arrive early. Happy hour at the Canadian Brew House runs Monday to Saturday, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., starting at $3.99. Hey, skip the couch, hit the Canadian Brew House, your home for every puck drop and every cheer. Ice cold drinks, massive screens, you know it, and the best fans in town this hockey season. Their house is your arena. Okay, Let's start with the Oilers and the Ducks. That series is now level at 1. Cutter Gauthier paced Anaheim, 2 goals and an assist. Alex Killorn, the proven veteran, with 3 points as well. Connor McDavid held pointless again. Now, you have to go back, according to Ryan Rishaug, to Game 6 and 7 of the Stanley Cup Final 2 years ago, the last time Connor McDavid went back-to-back playoff games without points. So 0 points in the series. Why don't we start there? Because for me, the story of the game was special teams. We'll get there in just a minute. But, we saw Connor leave the game. I had buddies texting me during the game from out west, diehard Oilers fans, concerned, thinking that there's something going on. Something is up physically with Connor. Aside from the obvious and what we saw, is there anything that caught your eye?
No, I mean, with the play just outside the blue line when he got tangled up there and had his ankle rolled up on,
Yeah.
it, I saw it in a couple of games that I did this week as well, is like guys get nicked up and then it takes them a little bit to figure out where they're at. Like, it might
Mm-hmm.
be a few shifts or whatever, and then they get back to doing whatever they're able to do at that point. It's fair to say there's probably not anybody that feels great after a
No.
couple of games of a series. I mean, if you're watching the series, these guys are trying to kill each other. Like it's so incredibly intense. And I think if you can get through the first round, I think the play settles a little bit. Like it's wild and unruly and uncontrolled in a lot of sense. For
Yeah.
McDavid, there was a couple of times in the first period, like on the power play, they do that drop pass entry, and
Yeah.
he comes through the neutral zone. I mean, how many years have we watched him do it? It's breathtaking
It
watching,
is
and you watch him, and he's like, it's an automatic zone entry every time. It feels
automatic.
like, and he's like, boom, he's in. But it feels like there's a little bit of a press going on here, like a little squeeze. Um, Carrying the puck maybe a little deeper than he might originally or might normally, um, into a place in the ice that's not as dangerous, maybe, like scoring wise. It looks a little off. Um,
Yeah.
I, I find this year in particular, I think there's been real good example of the Oilers play best when they don't play like Anaheim plays.
Right.
Like Anaheim is young and messy and like wild horses. They're all over the bloody place. And Edmonton, when they play a more controlled, detailed game, that's when they feel like they play their best. And you know, they've trailed in both games. Um, they've chased Anaheim around a little bit, and it doesn't quite look right. And so
No.
Anaheim went in and did what they had to do. Of course, any team they'll tell you forever since way before me, split in the first two, and
It's
you can
key.
start to squeeze the favorite a little bit. And I mean, Anaheim's going home and they play the same all the time.
Yeah.
They give up lots of chances, they get lots of chances. They're really skilled. They they are they're a dangerous hockey team.
Yeah. I mean, the special teams battle can tip a series. That also is age old. And right
Yeah.
now, you do have to give credit to the Ducks. I mean, game 2, they go 2 for 3 in the power play. They scored a shorthanded goal in that 6-4 win. What do you see about that power play that was able to click like that? And then I guess conversely, what aren't you seeing in the penalty kill of the Oilers to shut it down?
Well, they have the best power plays have multiple shot options. They don't. It doesn't really come from the same place all the time.
Yeah.
The shooters vary. They move the puck well. Um, the power plays now are so different. Like Edmonton's, in a sense, is a little bit more traditional, even
Yeah.
though it's just it's 1D and 4 forwards. But they have Bouchard that pretty well stays up above the circles. And a lot of teams, that defenseman will roll all the way around and you end up with a forward out top. And each time that player on the top changes, the penalty killers have to adjust because it's a different guy with a different skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think for Edmonton, it's the adjustment to the movement. It's the battle in front of the net that's always going to be there, no matter what set you're using, right? Like that 10
Yeah.
feet in front of the net, there's loose pucks. And um, there was one goal last night. Ingram made a hell of a save. It was a deflected shot. And in the puck battle, Gauthier ends up with it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like 4 or 5 guys
Yeah.
all scrumming for it. And they just press. They press forward all the time, and they outnumbered Edmonton. And so I guess for the penalty kill, it's adjustment of who's on the top, because it's not always the defenseman. And then I would probably want to have a handle on where Gauthier is. He can, I mean, man, that kid can shoot.
So
He's got a
good.
big league release. And
Yeah.
I'll just touch it really quickly. Like, just think like he was in Philly. Like, what if he would have stayed in Philly and they would have had him, and now they've got Martone,
Yeah.
and they did the best with it they could. They got Jamie Drysdale and a draft
Yeah.
pick, but
Decent return.
Anaheim is going to make the game as unpredictable as possible. And I think
Mhm.
that was the old Oiler way. The most successful way is not that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Quick thought, and then we'll move on to the next series, which is Dallas and Minnesota from last night, double overtime. Quick thought on Evan Bouchard. You know, I understand the postseason is a completely different animal, right? It's a higher level. We understand that, but through much of the regular season, it looked like he had settled in, eradicated the blunders, the big time stuff. But here we are, 2 games into this series, and especially in game 2, Bouchard looked like the Evan Bouchard that played through the first 15, 20 games this year, where it was kind of blunder after blunder.
Not been good. Certainly, if he and McDavid are at the bottom of the list scoring wise,
Yeah, you're in
production wise,
tough. Yeah.
you're in tough, right? The one, I guess, critique I always have of Bouchard is he never seems to be aware when he's in his lulls of where the danger on the ice is. He seems surprised where the pressure comes from. He seems surprised that he's got to get rid of the puck quicker than he does. When he struggles, that's the part of the game that just implodes on him.
Mm.
And he makes a read that's a little slow, which everybody does, but then he compounds it by not assessing the danger with it. And then it becomes glaring. And
Yeah.
I mean, what he was on for 5 last night, right?
Yep. Yes.
No matter, you could be the staunchest Bouchard defender, just not good enough. Not good enough
Yeah.
at this time of the year. And for me, it's always the same thing. It's the realization of where the danger of the play is. And sometimes he just doesn't get it. He doesn't get there.
Wyatt Johnston scored 12-10 into the second overtime for the Dallas Stars on the power play to give the Stars now 2-1 edge in the series. Remarkably, Minnesota had 3 power play opportunities in the third period and 2 more in the first overtime. So, yeah, I mean, you don't have to be an expert to look at the work that the coaching staff, the Minnesota Wild, are going to buckle down on, right? Getting ready for the next game in this series.
Well, I mean, 5 power plays in that stretch is a gift.
Yeah.
And you'd like to think you'd score on 20% of them, which is 1. Right? That's all they needed. Dallas took some lunkhead penalties, man. Like you just cannot take like and they're got by guys that know better. Like Ben took a couple. Mikko Rantanen seems he's a penalty machine.
I know.
It's crazy. And yet Dallas's penalty kill was able to, I guess they did a great job. The goaltender, Oettinger, made some really good saves. Really
Yeah.
good. They got lucky once. Boldy hit a post. By the way, Matt Boldy, underrated.
Very
I
underrated.
think underrated as one of the elite forwards in the game. There's
Right.
he's a scorer, he's a passer,
Yeah.
big. Oh man, he's a terrific player. So Minnie's doing that too. They lost Zuccarello in the first game,
Yeah.
and to a Tyler Myers elbow. Where they really missed Zuccarello was on the power play. So if I'm Minnie last night, once I'm evaluating that, and I'm maybe having a cold one after the game, if I'm the coaches, I'm like, we have Zuccarello, we win that game.
Mm.
I think that's I think there's
Yeah.
a not, I know you got to dance with the people you brought, but
Yeah.
without him in the lineup, that's the place they would most certainly miss him. By the way, was Hughes 45 minutes last night? 46, something like
43-47. 43 minutes,
yeah.
47 seconds. A franchise record for Quinn Hughes.
So that series, I'm not really sure why, but they've got 2 days off a couple of times in the series. So if there's a time to load minutes up,
Yeah.
that's the one.
Yeah.
But he was out there, him and Faber played the whole third period.
Crazy.
There's another guy is Faber who is really, really good that, you might not think of in that first group of defensemen. But just one thing on Dallas, we're coming up to the draft pretty quick, and everybody is looking at who's the most NHL ready, who's the, physically prepared to play. I don't know if you've ever walked by Wyatt Johnston,
No.
but he still looks like a teenager. I mean, he's not that far out of it. When he
Right.
got
Yeah.
drafted, in the pandemic, he'd played 7 games the previous year because remember there were no games, and he made Dallas's team out of camp, and
Yeah.
we did one of their first 4 or 5 games, and so we were asking Pete DeBoer, who was the coach at the time, like, what were you thinking as camp was going on? He goes, I started hiding him because I didn't want Jim Nill to send him back to junior. He's like, I was like, this guy's so good. And he's so smart. And if you watch Wyatt Johnston, where he scores from on the power play, because he had over 20 power play goals this year, he does it just like Joe Pavelski did. And he lived with Pavelski. Like he bordered with him in his first couple years. In the slot, in the bumper, down by the net. He's good with tips. He's got in tight, quick little hands. A lot of that, to me, is right out of Joe Pavelski's playbook. And damn, that guy, he is a silent, competitive assassin. He is so good. I love watching him play.
All right, we're going to dart all over the place here as we kind of sift through, what happened last night as we record here on Thursday. We'll look ahead to action this evening, look ahead to Friday, the weekend, go over to the East, and we briefly touched on Philadelphia and the Pittsburgh Penguins. So the Flyers win last night, Wednesday night, 5-2 over the Pens. Crosby and the Penguins, Ray, as you can see, and you experienced, they don't seem to have an answer for Philadelphia.
No.
They don't. I mean, defensively, Philadelphia's got everything checked off for the most part. And, from Mortone to Tippett to go down the list of all the weapons that they possess offensively, Pittsburgh just doesn't seem to be able to push back.
Pitt looks older and slower. And I think that's really the story of all of this. They've scored 4 goals in 3 games. Pittsburgh has. 3 of them on the power play. Like they cannot get anything done at 5-on-5. Like nothing. And Philly checks. They play this 1-1-3. So in the neutral zone. So 1 forward backed up by another forward and then 3 across the blue line.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh is a entry with speed team. You can't enter with speed. There's nowhere to go. That puck, you can. Philly drags the game into the simplest of terms, and that is if there are going to be multiple puck battles, and if you don't beat Philly at the puck battles, you don't win.
Right.
So the puck has to go into the zone, probably on a chip, not on a rim. And when you chip, you have to be able to get enough people to outman Philly to the puck. And
Mm-hmm.
Pitt can't do it or hasn't done it. Philly's been almost perfect. So, but this drags, I think sometimes we make a picture of a team and then we don't think of them in what they are right now. Since the
Yeah.
Olympic break, like the Olympic break, Philadelphia is now 21 wins, 6 losses, and 1 or 4, whatever the other things are, shootout or
Yeah.
overtime losses. They've won 21 games.
Yeah.
And they are dialed in.
They are.
And you like last night, Zegras, who's had a great year for them. It's funny, like sometimes a player's just ready to receive the information. They're ready to receive coaching and they understand how to be better. And I look
Right.
at Zegras, he doesn't look the same anymore. He doesn't. And
He doesn't.
he is they moved him to center maybe Christmassy, somewhere around there. And the worry is defensively he wouldn't be able to stay there.
Yeah.
That's been as big a turn and a lift for Philly as anything, because that's not their strongest position. They're heavy on the wings.
Yeah.
Zegras being able to play in the middle changes everything for them. And man, that second period was when they basically put both teams in the penalty box. And somehow Pittsburgh ended up shorthanded out of that. And Philly scored on the power play. I think it was Zegras's goal. Yeah, it was. Like that there are times that rivalry just goes and bubbles over.
Yeah.
A question for you. Do you think the league will look at that Konechny play? He pretty clearly,
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't want to say kicks at him, but he
Yeah.
kind of kicks at him. Like, to me,
Yeah.
that legit has to get looked at. And I'm just
Yeah.
curious what you think.
No. I mean, the responses that I got were exactly that. I mean, it's somewhat cliche. They say they look at everything, and everything in the
Yeah.
playoffs is under a microscope. But then the follow up is, does it elevate to supplemental discipline? Not so sure. And that's just a direct correlation to their process, which means,
Well,
George will run it through his car wash. He'll get a dozen different sets of eyes on it and opinions, and then he'll decide today whether or not it's worthy of a fine, a hearing, or something along those lines.
for me, there is of the things that the gray area in the playoffs always expands, right? Because first of all, there's way more incidents, way more hits, way
Yeah.
more eyeballs, way more confrontation. So that's always going to be something they got to manage. Stuff with your skates,
Yeah, I don't like that either.
that just can't be. It can't be. And I don't want to say it's easy, but it's easier, I think. Philly's up 3-0.
Yeah.
If you're gonna whack him for one,
Yeah.
now's the time. Or at the very least, there has to be a fine. Like
Yeah.
that, in my mind, that cannot go undetected or unpunished. Man, we all watched it, and
Yeah.
you can't say, well, Rust had him down and he was punching him, and so
No.
what?
Yeah, you can't do that.
You can't, yeah. As the one ref said in the football game years ago, 15 yards for giving him the business. You can't do that.
You can't do. And I mean, it was an elbow that started all of it, right? It's not like
Konechny's.
Brian Rust.
He started it.
Busted. He started it.
Yeah. So that was a wild scene.
Out of respect, do we say 5 games? Does Pittsburgh win one here? Or is it too lopsided based on what you've seen?
I don't. I mean, of course they can win, but I don't.
Sure.
It doesn't feel like that right now.
All right.
Because you know what? If you win, then you got to go back and play again. And then you got to go back and play again. So I do think your will gets broken at a
Yeah,
certain
I
point.
get that. I get that. I get that. Carolina and Ottawa tonight for Game 3. Um, as expected, this one is tight. It's going to be and has been a hard fought battle, a double overtime in Game 2 with a good amount of drama. So, what do you expect? I guess let's start with Ottawa. What do you expect from the Senators as the series shifts to home ice?
Oh, I think they'll be rambunctious and physical and aggressive. Um, they'll get a they will get a noticeable boost uh, at home, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
The when I look at this series though, like I don't think anybody really would choose either of those teams as a first round opponent.
No.
Like, and now they're playing against each other, and I think Carolina is just that much better at the game that they're
Hmm.
both playing. That's how I view that series. Now, Freddie Anderson's been really good in
Hmm.
goal, and Ullmark has been, I think he's been great. You might not like
Agreed.
one of the goals against, but I think he's been great. Um, and so you say, well, if Ottawa's got to figure out how to score some. Yeah, well, everybody does against Carolina.
Hmm.
Like that's just how they play. It's so hard, and everything it's a fight for ice everywhere you go against them. And I just think that Carolina is just a little bit better at the same game than Ottawa.
Mm. We talked about this. You and I exchanged texts, and then the O-Dog Jeff O'Neill and I talked a bit about this on Tuesday on the Rain Dregs podcast. But there's been a real significant youth movement, right? All season long, we've seen
Mhm.
it, but we're seeing it now early on in round one. And
Right,
I don't expect you to go through, you've talked about some of them in Philadelphia, Wyatt Johnston with the Dallas Stars. You've talked about
right.
Logan Stankoven is another classic example of a kid that just has found a way. That line in general, seems to
Mm.
be kind of a misfit sort of line until it isn't. And then Logan Stankoven clearly with a Midas touch through 2 games of this series.
I have come to this thought in the last, not that long, really. I'd say the last year or so, and that's do not fear youth. I think teams, I think teams are too cautious sometimes. I think they're scared of putting these younger players into
Don't want to
prominent
rush him, that
roles.
sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think with because we're talking when you get to this level, you're talking about the very, very best, of course,
Yeah.
right? Um, most of these kids have played high level tournaments, international tournaments,
Yeah.
like the U18s, the U20s. Um, they've gone to college and played in the national championships. Um,
Hmm.
uh, the big moments aren't as big as they used to be for them. They're
Yeah.
more ready to handle these moments than teams in the past were. Stankoven's played at a high level, at the highest level in junior, right? He's done that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Martone just was in the Frozen Four. Denver Barkey in Philly, he won a national championship,
Yeah.
right? Like Martone won the Memorial Cup last year.
Hmm.
So like, what's the what do you? I think they I think they're more ready to take a productive role than at almost any other time.
Hmm.
Do do not fear youth. You do so
No.
at kind of at your own peril. I'll give you another guy because I did Buffalo and Boston the other
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Was a couple of games. Is Fraser Minton? He centers so Minton's 20. Who's Nadinov is 21, I think, or maybe who's Nadinov's 22 and Minton's 21 and Hagen's is 19. That's their third line.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Minton looks like he's he's a pro. Like he's
Yeah.
and he's ready for it. He's not pushed out of this game. And so these guys, they're ready to play.
Yeah. All right, you mentioned Buffalo and Boston, so let's go over there. So that series is tied at 1. You
Yeah.
worked that series the first couple of games, front row seat. I mean,
Yeah.
did you hear some stuff? Did you see some stuff? I mean, is
Oh,
there
yeah.
is there some animosity between these two early on?
So before the series, Marco Sturm said, Boston's coach said, we're bigger and more physical.
Yeah.
And of course, the first game, Buffalo out hit them 53-38. Like, they're like, oh yeah, really? And so, so they're two teams, like Buffalo probably doesn't get thought of in that way, but they're big. They're
They are
like
big.
their defense are monstrous.
Yeah.
And they add Logan Stanley to it, and so he's on their third pair, and he's 6'7". I mean,
Yeah.
like they're big and they're physical. The Bruins fourth line is where you heard, or I heard, a lot of the noise. Tanner Jeannot in particular, he's a tough customer, man.
He
He
seems
is,
to be.
and he likes it. Like those
Uh,
guys that you can tell they like
yeah.
it. They're
Yeah.
salivating. They're like, oh boy, I might get in a punch in the face contest. They love it. But him and Mark Kastelik and Sean Corelli, they're three big physical guys.
Yeah.
And when the game was 4-0 and it started to get chirpy back and forth, the the space between the doors uh, at commercial was starting to shrink. Right, the guys were getting closer to close, and so I'm standing there next to Rob Ray, and I'm like, he's been in a million of these things, right? From
Yes.
his day. And,
Yeah.
usually they have one linesman stands out at center ice and one linesman stands at center ice on the boards, like,
Yeah.
kind of as a buffer. And as the game was 4-0, both linesmen were standing right in front of me. It was like a team picture. And they were each kind of like trying to shove their guys back towards. So that series now it's 1-1, so that keeps the nonsense bottled up. But
Right.
um, there is that one's simmering, and they go
Oof.
back to Boston. And I do have to say, teams have their ways of welcoming their home team on the ice. The noise was at about 7 before, like in warm up. It was loud. And then the Sabres come out and it gets to 8. And then they unveil Josh Allen to bang the drum.
Ooh.
And there was a surge of noise
Yeah.
as soon as he popped up on the board. And so he does bangs the drum, and they, let's go Buffalo. They do it a couple of times, and then he reaches underneath his Alex Tuck jersey and pulls out a beer and he shotguns it. That place erupted. It was a legendary entrance into the game. It's just so it was so mad
Yeah.
at the game. It was madness outside the rink,
That's awesome.
inside the rink. It was so great to see. That was super fun to do those games.
So a pick'em series, I mean, that sounds obvious, but do you feel
Yeah.
like that now?
Yes, I thought, and I still do, that the depth of Boston after Pasternak and Geeky at like the very top end of their
Yeah.
Zaka. The guy in game 2 was unreal, was Victor Arvidsson. So
Really good.
good,
Yeah.
really great. And so, but beyond that, they don't get a lot of offense. And I wonder if that's going to be the difference as it
Yeah.
goes along. Um, However, Buffalo hasn't gotten anything from their second, third, and fourth line. It's all been Thompson and Tuck.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
the guy, and I'll mention one guy for Buffalo I think's been unreal, is Bo Byram. He's been their best defenseman in that
Yeah.
series. It is a pick 'em, and maybe the difference, old freaking adage, is goaltending, and Jeremy Swayman has been locked in for
Yeah.
for like 114 out of 120 minutes.
Yeah.
He's been pretty locked in.
All right. Let's move on to Friday. So you've got Tampa Bay and Montreal. The Canadiens hosting the Lightning in game 3 there. I mean, it seems again pretty clear that the Tampa Bay Lightning are trying to emulate or copy the model established by the Florida Panthers over the last 3-4 years, right? And I'm, that rough and tough stuff, the initiating of
Yeah.
scrums and whatnot. Scott Sabern is injected in the series by John Cooper. As I'm watching the game the other night between Montreal and Tampa Bay, and I get it, it's a tactic. Montreal doesn't seem like they're taking the bait. They don't seem to be intimidated by any of this. But I'm wondering at one point, does the league, do the officials go, okay, enough? And maybe they do. Maybe they've had that conversation with John Cooper or the Lightning bench where, okay,
But
the
what does
next
that
scrum.
mean? But what does that
Yeah.
mean?
Well,
They're already shorthanded way more
Yeah.
than they should be. They take
Yeah. Yeah.
they take way too many penalties that they don't need to take. It's one
Right.
thing to be rambunctious and try to intimidate a little bit, which
Yeah.
for I think probably most people listening here understand that part of the playoffs is to intimidate a little bit. If you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
back your opponent up one stride, that's your advantage. And
Mhm.
that's what they're trying to do. But in a way, it's like Florida. It's not frustrating to watch, but it's like, oh man, here they go again.
Here we go again. Yeah.
But there was a play, and I'll give you this example. Late in the Boston Buffalo game, the game had pretty well been decided, and there was a whistle, and one of the Buffalo guys gives Pasternak a pretty good slap in the back of the helmet,
Yeah.
and it, in my mind, it probably should have been a roughing penalty. It wouldn't have mattered in the game, like the game, but the referee looked at him and basically said, "Frickin' stop it!" Like he was pissed. Like,
Yeah.
you're putting me in a position to give you a
Yeah.
penalty for something that doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
stop it. And I do think there is penalty fatigue at a certain point, because I don't think it's not like when I played where the hooks and the holds started to get let go and it was a
Yeah.
rodeo in the playoffs. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think they call those penalties relatively to the same standard. I really do. It's the
Mhm.
scrums and the punches and the nonsense that seems to get let go. And there's only one way to stop it, and that's haul guys out one at a time and penalize them.
Yeah.
And then after the game, you know, the Coop's a lawyer, and he'll come up and give some impassioned plea. And so what? Like, so
Yeah.
what? Before every game, each series has a supervisor, right? And they meet with the coaches before each game. And the coaches bellyache their complaints to the supervisor, and he does whatever he can or says whatever he does. If Tampa's complaining, same as when Paul Maurice might have complained in the last couple of years, you just say, well, then stop it.
Mhm.
I'm telling you now, our guys have been instructed, one penalty per scrum.
Yeah.
That's, in my mind, it's the only way you can stop it.
Brendan Gallagher's a buddy of the podcast. I mean, you've known
Mm.
Brendan basically his entire life, right?
Right.
So I'll admit my bias, whether you're in that crowd or not.
Yeah.
I feel there's a place for him in this series. And I don't know that it comes at the expense of Doc or whatever. I mean, if you're Marty St. Louis, you look at the group that you have, and by and large, it's been pretty good.
Mm.
But you're having they had more success getting to the net and getting shots on Vasilevsky in game 2 than they did in game 1, and they won game 1 in overtime. But would you consider on home ice doing something like that? Bringing in a Galley who's a pest around the net, that sort of thing? Or does that seem like a little bit of a panic play this early in a series?
No, it doesn't feel like a panic play, because you know pretty well what you're going to get, right? It's not like there's a surprise of what Galley's going to bring into a series. I think it's one game too soon, though.
Okay.
In my mind, it's I know, Doc's the guy who iced the puck, and it was not a great sequence for him.
Yeah.
but it can't be one sequence that, unless it's so out of the norm, you
Yeah.
got to look at the bigger picture and go, has he done the job for 2 games? Galley's not going to be taking any face-offs. He's not playing
No.
center.
No.
So you start to get into some lineup doctoring, and do they really need to do that as of yet? And I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
Um, uh, Marty, one thing that Marty's St. Louis really impressed me with through his young coaching career, and it's probably not a surprise, his feel for what looks right is
Hmm.
generally pretty on.
Yeah.
You're like, and it's easy for us to nitpick it because we're just sitting on the couch, but I look at his and I'm like, damn, he's right. Like
Mm.
he's on it again. I would give it one more game. I sure would like to be standing between the benches tonight there. They've um, that place is just it's always had almost a romantic pull for me back
Yeah.
to the Forum where I got my first NHL goal there. I walked into it. I felt like I was in
Nice.
church. It was like, and there's something about like the Bell Center and just the vibe around the arena. I don't think you can create it anywhere else like in Montreal, and that will be an amazing scene tonight.
All right, back to the West, and we'll wrap up the Canadian Brewhouse headlines. Avs lead the LA Kings 2 games to love. Game 3 in LA, back-to-back 2-1 games, which, of course, LA can't be happy. They're trailing in this series 2-0.
Mhm.
But by and large, they've done a nice job of shutting down what can be a very explosive offense in
Sure.
Colorado.
I think they've played 2 great games, and you got nothing to show for it. And I
Yeah.
guess the concern, if you're looking at it from LA's point, is that um, you've played really good hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Can you play a little bit better, or is that what you have? Like, is that
Yeah.
the most you have? Um, because the Avs, they're a funny team in a way that they had that big lead off that great start to the season, and really the last 25 or so games they've been not much more than a 500 team. And is that maybe like because they didn't have to be? But it does feel
Yeah.
like Colorado's got another gear. But damn, I'll tell you, LA has played them about as tough as tightly as you
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
I
Utah,
don't
Vegas.
know that I don't think they've got the next gear, Lance. I
Okay.
really don't.
You don't, eh? All right.
No.
Utah, Vegas. Series is tied at 1, so you've got game 3 in Utah. So Mammoth owner Ryan Smith, I'm sure you've caught on to this. He's launched
Mm.
a jersey exchange for prior to Friday's game.
Yep.
And fans who arrive at the building can trade in their Vegas Golden Knights sweater for a Utah Mammoth home jersey. So no cost attached. There's no name on the back, just the logo on the front, which is fine.
Yep.
While supplies last. Now, I mean, Vegas would probably look at this and go, whatever. I mean, do whatever you're gonna do. I kind of
Yep.
like it. I like it. I mean, if there's a Vegas Golden Knights fan that's willing to shift that easily for a Mammoth sweater because you like the logo, that's pretty shrewd marketing by Ryan Smith.
I These guys have not made a misstep in the marketing of their team, other than when they were fighting to pick the name. I mean,
Yeah,
picking the name was the hardest part, but he is, I don't know, this is young and energy and new thought. Like,
yeah,
did you see he puts out a something on Twitter the other day, um, and it's like he's going to host 8 fans in his box.
yeah,
DM me.
yeah.
Like,
Awesome.
it it is amazing. It is draw the fan in, draw the interest in, and I'm I'm on it, man. I think I think he does an amazing job in the series. Um, Utah's speed is noticeable.
Yeah.
They're noticeably quicker. Doesn't mean they're going to win, but they're noticeably quicker. And that's a long series, right?
I think you're right.
Yeah, so that'll be pretty cool to get the first playoff game there. And they've turned things and interested in things there pretty quickly. It's been a really cool story to follow.
All right, those are your headlines. Thank you to the Canadian Brewhouse. It feels like Tim Hortons has always been part of my routine, certainly as a dad, as a coach, or taking my kids to the early morning hockeys. Had to go through the drive-through and get my cup of coffee and get the Timbits for the kids. Can I get a medium coffee with milk, please? Then even driving into studio now at TSN. If I don't go through the drive-through, get my medium coffee with milk, I feel like my routine has been interrupted.
Here's your coffee.
Thank you.
Right there, guys.
You too. Only way to start a day. We're going to shift gears and we're participating in the Tim's Hockey Challenge playoff edition, right? So we'll bring in Chris Sabunia to help us with that. We just got started, earlier this week, and Ray, you were kind enough to submit your
I shouldn't have.
picks. Nah,
I shouldn't
you're
have.
in good
I
company.
missed them all.
You're in good company. So go ahead, Zuby. Ray and I, nada. I think.
Well, it's early. That's why I know enough to not start taking a victory lap, because I did get one. I got my pal Logan Cooley there came through for me, so I went.
Player.
Yeah.
So I went 1 for 3. Dregs was 0 for 3. Ray was 0 for 3. Shager abstained. He's getting an 0 for 3, of course, before he hopefully joins us here. He can't afford to be putting himself in a hole.
He's busy.
He turtled.
Yeah.
He turtled. He's like, I'm going to be 0 for 3 anyway. I'm not even going to send picks in.
And I know
he's picking paint colors. Is it forest green? Is it hunter green? Which color is it, Randy?
Oh no, I think he's right down to mint. It's going to be mint.
I like that. And Randine, we know she play. I'm going to get her information. We're going to get her in here too. I know she plays every day, so I haven't heard back from her yet, but we'll have her give the Rishags a chance here. But this is different now.
Hang on. She can't play. She wasn't able to play the other day because she was telling Ryan what paint color it's going to be.
Yes. Yeah.
Even though Ryan was suggesting, Randine, we support your choice. Randine, we really do.
This is a lot more different and difficult with only 3, sometimes 4 games a night. There's someone sent me a message on social media saying that their strategy sometimes is to let when on a big night, let some of the first games start, because the players do sort of change. And I had done that inadvertently a couple times, and it worked out for me. But when I tried it, when this person suggested, I'm like, yeah, good idea. And I tried it intentionally, and it completely blew up in my face. So with only 3 games on the docket, you got to pick.
There is, we often talk about, for those that haven't tried it, you get a selection of players for player 1, and then a different selection for player 2. Player 3 usually is the third bucket's usually a little thin.
A lot of defensemen. A lot of D.
And when there's only 3 games in it, boy. I almost picked Jeremy Swayman the other day. He might be my best choice.
A good puck handler. You might get an empty netter.
You never know. Empty netter, right? I mean, he's no Jordan Spence.
No.
Oh, Spency.
It's time. Check your buckets, Zub.
He's not on there. I like my 3rd bucket today. Well, I think you guys.
But no Jordan Spence?
I didn't see him. Oh, I'm locked in now. I couldn't change it anyway.
You can't. Doesn't matter. Yeah, good point. Yeah, we'll get in there.
I'm going to make my picks as soon as we wrap up here, because normally I have them done. For whatever reason, I procrastinated. I don't know. So maybe it'll help me. I need some new mojo.
You know what I got to do today? So we have for a couple of years talked about a sauna and a cold tub, if we could.
Yeah.
And today was the first day.
Wow.
Last night, Cammie and I got in the sauna. Oh my God. I slept so good. So I went sauna to cold tub to bed and
Oh,
out. It was amazing. And so this morning, didn't turn the sauna on. I went because didn't really have enough time, but so I went cold. I did my little mobility thing, and then I jumped in the cold tub. I'm sharp and ready to go. My picks will be on it today.
awesome.
This feels like a 2 for 3 today.
Okay.
I believe it. Well, then we'll all be getting cold tubs if this pays off.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Zuby.
Yeah.
All right, there's Chris.
Awesome,
Sabunian, our
Zub. Thanks, man.
Hockey challenge. Okay, now, Mason Dreger often listens to the podcast as he's touring around rural Manitoba and his sales capacity, trying to sell that John Deere machinery. And now he's going to go see Ray and Cammie have one, because we've been shopping for a sauna for quite some time for the cabbage. I've got a perfect spot for it. It's a little bit different there. We'd go. I'm sure you went with the electric stove, right? You're not going with a wood burning sauna, are you?
No.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't make sense there. But
no.
Yeah, I'm in the shopping phase of the sauna. So was it difficult, or did you guys just go, nah, that's the one. It looks good in our backyard. Let's go with that.
No, we went with a little bit of a more complicated
Of course you did.
project. It's
It's the Cadillac of saunas.
It's not we did not buy it. We had it built. It's
good for you.
It is we were in it last night. Honestly, some people just don't like saunas, right? They don't like the feeling of it.
I love it.
We really do. And so now we could be in this house 20 years. Yeah. Cammie will not get in that cold tub. Unless I throw her in it, she's not. There's no chance.
That would be a bit weird for a high-end athlete, like regardless of age. I mean, isn't that kind of the routine and the recovery?
Well, they would. It was mostly back for when we did. It was like you just get in up to your waist, and I think she could probably do that. But she's like, why do I want to do that? I don't want to do it. I go, it's good for your health. There's whether there's a lot or a little, there's some benefit to it. She's like, yeah, there might be. I'm not getting in it. It's too cold. She put her hand in there yesterday, and she was like, yeah, it's cold. I go, yeah, I know. It tells you how
it's a cold
the temperature is right there. It's 5 degrees. It's
That's awesome.
So So anyways, that's I would recommend it, Dregs, and especially at the cabbage, because I'm sure you have a place you could put it with a good view.
Second tier overlooking the lake. It would be perfect.
Yes.
It would be perfect.
Yes.
So I will accept some sauna construction tips, because I've got a very handy neighbor, Dougie. So I'm not opposed to actually trying to build this thing on my own with some help. I mean, I'd be the helper. I wouldn't actually be the leader of this construction.
Dregs, I just looked out the kitchen window. I can't. Yeah. You know me. I mean, I think one time I helped them get an extension cord. I think that was probably.
You did something.
How much more help do you need?
Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
That's it.
We've got to get you on to the tee here. So
yes, sir. Yep. Got to go.
What's your pre-round prediction for this one today?
79.
See, I had 77 in my head, Ray. Feeling good about your game.
No, you shouldn't feel good about it. Right, this is about as good as it's going to get.
Let me know, or we can check back next week. That'll be fun.
Yeah, we will. Everybody, thanks for listening. Enjoy these crazy playoffs. The first round is awesome, and hope you have a good couple of days. We'll talk later in the week.
Absolutely. And thank you to our sponsors who continue to generously support the Rain Dregs Hockey Podcast. Tim Hortons, our title sponsor. Thank you. And thank you to the Canadian Brew House. Until next time, stay safe, everybody.